and welcome to this. I can't even remember how it starts. This week's Three Legs, Four Wheels F1 podcast.
Look at me, I've never introed it.
What?
Yeah. Christ, how long's it been? Six weeks. Anyway, we're back. It's Paul,
Sean,
Lee,
Chris.
Dan.
not Dan.
Dan's not here, man.
And there's some cats somewhere. Yeah, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Isn't Fernando Alonso brilliant?
Some things never change.
I'm just going to treat this like I'm one of those chords you pull a string out of and it says like a line that you used to him saying. Anybody miss Jensen Button?
But yeah, has it been a while? Because you couldn't tell from how slick that intro was.
Oh, I've been practicing it all the way through Christmas and New Year. Happy Chinese New Year in that case, seeing as we were around for New Year. How the devil are we all anyway?
Chinese New Year.
It'll be soon,
I was
won't
going
it?
to say it's next week or the week after.
No.
Oh, fucking hell. This is when all that happened last time.
What, you couldn't get a decent takeaway because they were all shut?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes, Lee, yes.
I've had
Strong
quite
start.
enough takeaway from China for once.
So those New Year resolutions are working out really well for you then?
Oh, yeah.
Don't make New Year's resolution.
No, you're absolutely right. Because you make these resolutions, you just break them. You put too much pressure on yourself.
I mean, mine for this year was I'm going to get out more, and our first lockdown of the year on the Isle of Man's just finished today.
I like how you said first lockdown of the year like we're expecting another 4.
Well, I decided I was going to use lockdown to be more active, and then second day of lockdown rolled my ankle, so that was an equally good start.
Oh, Sean. Very silly.
Yeah, made me traipse out to the shops for an ankle support that didn't work.
It did not support the ankle, but aside from that, it was fine.
It was a fashion statement. Anyway, F1. Oh yeah, that's my usual catchphrase, isn't it? So there's been a few things happened since we were last here. Right, I suppose the general stuff is Alonso is officially back now.
Well, we knew that.
Somebody want to pull Lee's code? Oh, he's doing it himself when I mentioned Alonso. That's
Somebody's poisoned the water hole.
I should probably pull
There's a snake in my boots.
I should probably pull my own cord because you don't know where it is.
Remember, hand washing is an essential part of COVID sanitisation and other things. Renault have officially changed the name.
Team Alonso.
Racing Point have officially changed their name as well. They've now fully launched as Aston Martin, and they're teasing green. And going right to the back of the grid, Jensen Button's back at Williams.
As an advisor.
Yeah.
I nearly did a fucking backflip when I saw that because they didn't have as an advisor on the thing.
Or did you think he was like replacing Latifi?
I thought he was replacing George Russell, and George Russell was going to replace Lewis Hamilton, which I still think is going to happen. I mean, not the Button bit.
Although you wouldn't object.
I wouldn't object, no. I'm going to have to watch that fucking stupid Extreme E thing, aren't I?
Well, why? Because Lewis has got a team, and Rosberg's got a team, and
Jensen's got a team, and he's driving.
And guess what colour the car is?
He did have a lot of that paint left over. That was part of his severance package from Braun, that, he thinks.
Yeah, I get to keep the car and the colour, you can keep the world title.
I mean, let's be fair. That colour and white have turned out to be fairly fucking lucky colours for Mr. Button.
Why? What else has he won in that?
I think you can consider it a lucky colour when the team nearly collapses and you win a bunch of races in the World Championship. I think, regardless of what happens after that, it's deemable as lucky.
I guess, kinda. So
It's like if someone turns around to you, like you say you've got like a hip flask and you get shot in the chest, but it gets a hip flask instead of your heart. That flask doesn't stop being lucky because it doesn't stop any more bullets.
Yeah, but the whiskey that was inside it stops being lucky, and it probably also stops being drinkable, which
You're sad about the wrong thing, Paul.
Yeah, I think lack of bullet to the heart probably outweighs spilt whiskey.
I have no life and like bourbon. So anyway, Williams. I mean, there's been a lot of former drivers come back as advisors, and sometimes it's worked, sometimes it hasn't. Anything that Gerhard Berger's been involved in usually turns to crap.
Yeah. Also at Williams as well, Jost Capito come in, didn't he? He was part of McLaren for a very short while.
Yeah, I remember that hour.
Yeah, under Ron Dennis, where before Ron Dennis was turfed out, and because I think he was Ron Dennis's last appointment, he basically didn't even I think he came into the factory, introduced himself to everyone, and then was told he was out of a job. Such was his short tenure at McLaren.
I think the podcast that we did where we were taking the piss out of his name lasted longer than his career.
Yeah, I think it did. Yeah, but he's been responsible for the turnaround since he was appointed and then unappointed, or disappointed, should we say, at McLaren. He's been responsible for the turnaround in fortunes of Volkswagen. Do you remember Dieselgate? And, we thought that maybe Volkswagen might have been looking to join Formula One, and then Volkswagen became literally the shittest name in road car history. You couldn't get any lower than Volkswagen at one point, and now look at them. One of the leading sellers again in European cars. That's down to him, and he's now joined Williams. So, if he's able to turn Volkswagen from literally the worst car company in the world, a liars, evil corporation, to, I don't actually think they're an evil corporation, I just think they lied a little bit, into, fairly respectable again. It'd be interesting to see what he can do with a race team.
Yeah, I mean, he has got a bit of a racing background as well, because I'm sure he was somewhere else connected with racing before he went to McLaren, because I don't think Ron Dennis would have taken him on without more due diligence.
I think he was Volkswagen's rally program. Yeah, Volkswagen's rally program, I think he was before that, which he took Volkswagen from not being in World Rally Championship to World Rally Champions.
That's respectable. Sorry, I'm having emissions problems.
So yeah, whilst we can, we all know that Jenson Button, he's a name who's been around Formula One for a while. I think the appointment of Jost Capito might be more impactful for Williams.
Yeah, I think Button's really gone there as spokesmodel.
Yeah, he'll keep the sponsors happy.
Well, I've just finished reading one of his books, and he says that one of the reasons McLaren kept him on as an ambassador was because he was so good with sponsors. So it wouldn't surprise me if that's the thinking behind bringing Jenson Button in as an advisor.
Well, let's face it: if you're Williams and you've got to try and get new sponsors and keep current sponsors happy, you have George Russell, which you can load up a little bit, because we all think he's destined for big things. But even then, George isn't going to be at Williams probably after this season. Nobody cares about Nicholas Latifi because he's rubs. But you've got a world champion. You've got a world champion there, which also comes across really well. That you can just plug into dinners.
I mean, I'm guessing the thing with Jenson Button and sponsors, it's going to be to try and attract and keep sponsors that aren't related to Latifi.
Yeah, that's the thing. Latifi can deal with the Latifi ones, but they're going to want
which is the majority of the car
at the moment,
as things stand. Because just about every name on there has got a Latifi connection, apart from Acronis. Are Acronis still on the car?
I don't know. We'll see when we see the new car, presumably.
That is true. Well, the renderings of the new car, because they never do a live reveal anymore.
I'll be upset if they don't do live reveals this year, because the cars were built last year.
Yeah, but what's the point of doing a live reveal? Because no one's going to be allowed to be there to look at it.
I suppose so.
Yeah, McLaren are doing theirs online,
or at least pictures.
I don't know
about. Sauber Alpha are doing theirs in Poland.
Interesting.
at the probably at some Orlan related.
Oh, I see. They're going where they've been paid to go.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Because how much money does Cubic bring in with Orlan into them? I think McLaren are doing it online. Mercedes, I think nobody else has announced anything. Alpine have shown the interim winter livery, and then they're going to reveal the test livery and then the real livery.
How many liveries do they want? Is it one for every Alonso cap?
I think so, yeah.
Fucking hell.
The test livery, let's be honest, sorry, the interim livery is crap, let's be honest.
It looks like a 90s. We haven't quite got the licenses for the real team's F1 game, and that's what you enter as Team France.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah. I mean, eventually, I'm pretty sure it's going to look like the trophies from the French Grand Prix.
Like a gorilla?
Painted red, white, and blue. But
we saw one of those statues in Barcelona, of all places.
Did we?
Last year when we were on the bus trip. One of those big gorilla statues. I saw it when we were on the open top bus.
I do not recall this.
We turned a corner before I managed to get my phone out to get a picture of it.
Well, there we go.
Strange. Yeah, I expect Alpine, as they are now, to do something along those lines, but go full on tricolor. And if the sponsorship doesn't fit with the car, it's not going on. But the Cyril has left Alpine, hasn't he? He's left Renault. He's not going to be the head of Alpine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was announced a while back that he was going to. He was stepping away from being the team principal, and then all of a sudden he's gone with immediate effect. But not just from the team, and, from the entire company.
Yeah, is it Davide Brivio, the Suzuki boss from MotoGP, who's come in?
This is interesting because he's taken Suzuki from being kind of middlingy, averagey to world champions.
So you've got Capito at Williams, who's used to doing this kind of stuff. Got Brivio. All right, okay, it's a totally different discipline, but he knows how to turn fortunes around. You know, are we seeing like a new era?
And he's mates with Valentino Rossi, so we know which team he's going to get his next F1 ride out in.
Possibly,
yeah, because I think he was at
Rossi.
Yamaha, I think, back in the day before he went to Suzuki. I think.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say Rossi did a swap, didn't he, a couple of years ago with Hamilton, bike and car, Mercedes and Yamaha
Monster.
before.
That was all down to Monster.
Yeah.
And before that, courtesy of Marlboro, he did a swap with Schumacher in about 2003.
Yeah, I think Jorge Lorenzo and Hamilton have done a swap before as well. I think it's
yeah, I think they have. Yeah. But I don't think it's. I don't think there's a danger of any. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of a MotoGP rider, who might make the jump to four wheels from two.
Marc Marquez did some stuff in the Toro Rosso simulator a couple of years ago, which by all accounts was completely off the charts. But he obviously at that point wasn't
quick off the charts.
Yeah, apparently it was very, very impressive. Which, he's rehabbing an arm. Maybe he doesn't fancy the bikes anymore.
I think the problem you've got for someone like Marquez is he's a top-level MotoGP rider. Mm-hmm. Would you want to leave being a top-level MotoGP rider to join the mid-grid of Formula One?
Probably not, in fairness.
Yeah, I can't see that working well.
Or if it was through Red Bull, you'd want you join Toro Rosso, but with already a pre-contract signed for the following year for Red Bull. So it literally just is a way of breaking you into the sport before you get a go in a top car.
Yeah, that would probably do it. But seeing as Honda isn't going to be a thing, and that's half the joint backing wiped out at the end of the year.
Yeah. Obviously, some Red Bull sponsor everyone and everything. It's just that.
Oh yeah, we had we had some of the X Games on this weekend. That was Battle of the Energy Drink logos.
Although,
I swear, I'm on one now. Snowboard commentators are just making things up as they go.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because snowboarders make it up as they go.
Yeah. Oh, they were very flippant coming off that jump.
I don't think they said flippant at any point.
They did.
Did they?
Yeah. She took that jump very flippantly.
Right.
It's like, what? How?
Are you sure he didn't say flippily?
I mean, he could have been making words up as he was going along, but it was, it didn't sound cromulent to me. So, where were we?
We're talking about bikes.
Well, we're talking about Alpine and Davide Brivio. Have they had any more sort of comings and goings at Alpine?
They've probably got at least 12 new hats.
At least?
Well, yeah.
How many rounds of the championship are there? 23?
No, talking about 12 new hats this week.
Oh, this week.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
the official testing hat will probably come out as well.
I haven't looked at the Kamoa website for a little while. I'm sure there will be a whole Alpine range.
Oh, there's absolutely bound to be. So yeah, we're waiting to see what the car looks like, as long as it's not as dull as the interim winter livery. And while I'm on the subject, what the hell is an interim winter livery for?
Nothing,
Hats.
because they're never going to use it. It's just for attention, isn't it? They're taking marketing tips from maybe the guy from Kamoa, the marketing guy from Kamoa, is now the marketing guy for Alpine.
Do you not think it might be because they needed something that wasn't a Renault? Because if they're going to start marketing it now and they wind up to the beginning of the season, they need something.
What for?
No, because there'll still be sponsor meetings and stuff like that. It's so if you have like a big sponsors do, at least you can have a Renault painted black with a French flag on it.
Maybe, but does that need to be made public?
I think, yeah, kind of. It was just to build hype for the team, wasn't it? I mean, like the little...
That's exactly what I think it is, yeah.
The CG trailers were cool and stuff like that. It's nice to see what Alonso's going to be world champion in next year.
Oh, what, when he wins Formula 1.5?
I think there's a big chance for somebody next year. Don't know who.
The Nico Hülkenberg honoree, not quite good enough to win the title.
No, I think I don't think a Mercedes driver is going to win the world championship.
Non-Mercedes driver, did you say?
No, you include
I'll show my working out later when we talk about that sort of stuff.
yeah, same here.
For anybody listening to this now, just think about the Charlie with the wall planner gif. It's probably easiest that way. Right, another team that's changed its name is Racing Point to Aston Martin. Now, Lee was still calling them Force India last year,
yeah,
so
I think this is a couple of name changes in too slightly quick succession here. This is going to be a challenge.
I think this is fine because they're changing their livery, and also the drivers don't look the same either.
Well, Seb doesn't look the same as he looked this time last year, let alone as last year's drivers.
And Stroll doesn't look the same as any other human in the world.
I don't know, Michael.
Sebastian Vettel has a...
He's donated.
Sebastian Vettel has a bold prediction.
Yeah, Stroll's eyebrows have more hair than Sebastian Vettel's entire head.
Has Lawrence Stroll made Vettel donate the front of his hair to be spare eyebrows for Lance?
I'm not willing to mock Seb because at least he's going bald like a man and not getting it sewn into his scalp.
Yeah. Yeah, no. Kudos to Seb. Like when you think about it, he was thinning a bit, wasn't he, at the front?
I think
he's clearly just lobbed it all off and gone, oh shit, that's worse than I thought it was. Oh well, too late.
Sebastian Vettel is in for a fucking fine year this year.
You reckon bald Seb could be the superpower Seb?
For a really strong season.
Well, the interesting thing to think with the Aston Martin is that they've just took the back end of the Mercedes, haven't they?
So of Williams.
Yeah. Now, Seb's big problem with Ferrari has been the back end and wanting a planted back end like he used to get with Red Bull. That's one of the strengths of last year's Mercedes. It's a planted rear end. I think he's going to have a really strong year. And and to be perfectly honest, look at where we think that car should have been. I think both drivers in the Force India, whatever. I think
Spiker.
I think both drivers in that Midland, they could have done more with that car. Like that was a bit. Even Perez, I think that was a better car than the results it ended up getting. Although Perez won a race and all that sort of stuff, but through the course of the year, I know he was out with Kroner as well, but that was a stronger car made to look worse than it was, probably more down to some average results from Stroll, especially towards the end of the year.
Perez outscored Stroll and missed, even though he missed 2 races.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think if you like how Frentzen was in the hunt for the championship in the Jordan that year, where they had an exceptionally good Jordan. I think Seb has the opportunity. I think Seb has the opportunity, and if he can be Red Bull Seb, he has the talent as well to have himself as being that guy.
It was 99. 97. Frentzen was in the other Williams, only winning 1 race.
Mm-hmm.
Oh right, yeah. Of course it was. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I did think that, because I was thinking about this the other day, because there was a different podcast. I was listening to a different Formula One podcast, and they put the question out of what Formula One cars could have won a world championship with a different driver in it. And I thought about it, and Frentzen was shit. So I think that with a different driver in that car, that could have won a world championship, that Jordan. How different the world would have been then? Well, not the world, but Jordan.
You've been slagging off Eddie
out for another year.
Sorry?
Damon Hill, maybe if he got it together that year.
Yeah.
But he didn't really get it together in 99, did he, Hill?
Was he still in 99? Was he 98, 99 in Jordan? Yeah, he was,
I think so. 99, I think, was his...
97, he was in Arrows.
99 was 2000 his last year?
No, I think it was 99.
Was it?
I think he only did 2 years in Jordan and then retired.
He tried to retire halfway through a season because he said he got bored at the British Grand Prix.
Yeah, I remember that. But it's an interesting question. The whole sort of who would win a world championship in that car. You have to probably think back different things. But going back to the Sebastian Vettel Aston Martin thing, the only thing that I can think is going into this year that's not going to play into his hands is the change in the aero rules. Now I know they're not huge changes, but it's exactly where they are that could impact him. The diffusers at the back being cut by 50%, the brake duct winglets on the rear being cut in length but not in width, and the floor as well being cut means that rear downforce is not. You're losing about 10% downforce on the rear of the car. I've seen the YouTube video with James Allison explaining how that affects the current car, the 2020 car, but the 2021 cars, whilst the chassis are being carried over, it's a bit of a folly to say that we're just going to use the same cars again. Most of the cars are going to be about 80% different. But they are building it around the same chassis, which apparently feels very alien to all the teams to do. The only team that's not doing that and is building a completely new car for 2021 is McLaren.
Well, they haven't got much choice because they've got to have a different shaped hull in the back.
Yep, and they've had interviews with James Key, Lando Norris, and Daniel Ricciardo, and I think McLaren are kind of quietly confident of improving their performance from, they finished third in the championship last year. Yes, of course, that was because, Ferrari weren't anywhere to be seen. But I think they're quietly confident of improving their results over the course of the next 12 months, given what they've got.
I think it's going to be... Sorry, go on, Paul.
I was going to say, the main objective for McLaren this year is they've got to put Aston Martin away.
I think McLaren are going to win races. I think Daniel Ricciardo is going to win races for McLaren.
We shouldn't forget that at the end of the season, Renault was a quicker car than the McLaren.
That's true. Ricciardo did come on very strong.
Yeah,
towards
but
the end of the season.
by the last 4 or 5 races, definitely.
Yeah. And, well, I mean, even through they were so close most of the year, but there was something towards the arse end of the season where Renault got something right. Or, yeah, if I remember right, there was something down to setup, wasn't it? Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting which one of those teams comes out on top. And it's, you've got 2 drivers in McLaren and Renault or Alpine that
get used to them being called Renault Alpine. This is going to drag on all season.
Yeah, but you've got 2 drivers there, both in Alonso and Ricciardo, which are excellent benchmarks for where a car is.
Yeah, you could say that they maybe pulled the car, especially in Alonso's case, the car further up the grid than it should be in some cases. I fear
for Lando next year.
I do slightly. I kind of hope the car is good enough that he can put in some really decent performances. But at the same time, I do think it's going to be difficult for him to put Daniel away. And he's finished behind Carlos Sainz in both the seasons that he raced with him. Nothing to be ashamed of that at all. Carlos Sainz is a good racing driver. But if this is going to be his 3rd season with the team, with a brand new teammate, and he gets put away by the new, in inverted commas, new guy, 31-year-old Daniel Ricciardo, then he... I
mean, don't forget, Lando had some terrible luck during the last 2 years.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, though, does it? Because he had bad luck the season before, too. We've seen... A fucking perfect example. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he would have been a world champion. But you want to talk bad luck? Talk Jolyon Palmer. Do you know what I mean? He had bad luck to the point where he lost. He lost. Formula One slipped away from him.
Because if there was something in that car that could set on fire, it usually did.
Yeah, and then when he had a good race, somebody crashed into him. He had the worst luck since
Johnny Herbert.
Johnny Herbert, yeah.
Sorry, Johnny. We know you're leading this race, but we've left a spanner in the footwell. You're going to have to pit.
Yeah, I think he had terrible. But I don't get me wrong. I want to be wrong here because as far as British drivers go, Lando's my favourite British driver on the grid. So I really do want to be wrong about this, but I think Daniel Ricciardo was going to maul him.
Oh, I thought you disappeared. Then you glitched out.
I mean, they're good mates, but
sorry,
no.
Yeah, sorry, Lee. You glitched out then. Now we're doing the.
Didn't glitch out for me.
Now we're doing the talking over each other again because we're
right. Everyone, stop talking. Chris, go.
Yeah. They're good mates, and it's going to be difficult for that bromance to last if they start getting super competitive with each other, and they're going to have to, especially Lando, if he's going to. Nothing wrong with Lando Norris. I think he's a perfectly fine, decent Formula One driver. He's a race winner in the right car, but I think Ricciardo's better than him at this current moment in time.
Yeah, I agree because I think he's better than Carlos Sainz. I think that's the problem. I think Daniel Ricciardo is better than Carlos Sainz. So in order for Lando to compete with Daniel Ricciardo, he's going to have to all of a sudden not just be as good as Sainz was. He needs to be better immediately next year.
Yeah.
Another driver that's going to have a lot to prove this year is going to be Perez.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, okay.
It's do or die, isn't it, for Checo Perez?
Yeah, he's shown that he deserves a drive with a top team. Just because of where he was actually managing to put the Force Point India Racing. Midland, Jordan, whatever. The pink car. He's got his first win, so he's got that monkey off his back. But now he's going up against Max Verstappen as a teammate.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know how good Perez is, do we? Let's be honest.
He's rebuilt himself from that year at McLaren because I think that just came too soon.
Yeah,
I've been saying that all along.
Mm-hmm.
I was just about to say that year at McLaren seems to have been totally forgotten about by almost everyone, because even Perez himself was just like, I've been waiting my whole career to get into a top team. You replaced Lewis Hamilton at McLaren.
Yeah, it seemed like unnecessary McLaren shade, that, didn't it?
I don't think he left on the best of terms.
Was it shade, or was he just trying to make people forget that happened and that he massively underperformed?
I think everyone has forgotten.
Yeah, because
nobody in the media has mentioned that. Oh, Perez has finally got a shot in a big team. Nobody's gone. Remember that 2013 year? No one said that.
Well, tell you what, the easy way to look at this is, I mean, don't get me wrong, Perez is a fine Formula One driver and deserves his place in Formula One. He's not just there because of the massive amount of sponsorship he's got behind him. But after that year, if it wasn't for his sponsorship, he wouldn't be in Formula One anymore. You know, he's been in the mid-grid for so long now. If it wasn't for all that cash he brings with him, I think he would have fell out at Formula One at some point. You know, there would have been a team like Force India, which had another driver which had more money to bring to the team, and they'd have got the seat. And then the next thing is he's Hulkenberged out of Formula One.
Yeah.
But he's got his chance to prove himself now, you know, in what should be the second best car on the grid. If not, a Mercedes Challenger this year.
I mean, that car needs to be.
Maybe.
And maybe it can be with two drivers that are confident in it.
I think Red Bull underestimated where Mercedes were going to be, because don't forget, going into Australia before everything went crazy, Red Bull thought they were going into last season to challenge Mercedes. They thought they had the car to do it, and I think they didn't realise the gains that Mercedes were going to make because of the cheating Ferrari were doing. You know, that's what pushed Mercedes to be where they are now, is because they pushed to essentially outperform an illegal car.
Oh yeah, I mean we've said this before.
Yeah.
Mercedes' pace last year was purely down to Ferrari, because they thought they had so much to catch up on. Then it turned out they were already faster than them. Now they're twice as fast as everybody else.
Yeah. So I mean, with that
Ferrari
knowledge,
are rebuilding their entire engine, aren't they? Going into
yeah.
So they might be in the mix. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's good for Ferrari because we've never seen them completely rebuild the team before, have we? So I'm sure this year, I'm sure it'll work.
Yeah,
They've
particularly
rebuilt the team before, but it's more to do with the car. You know, they've totally chucked out that useless power unit that obviously wasn't a cheating power unit.
Yes, and I'm sure the one they've rushed together.
Already. They redesigned it quite early in 2020, but said, look, we're not going to put it in this year. We know this year is going to be pants. We'll put it in for next year. And, you know, I don't know if that was the main part of their problem or if they had like aero issues as well, but they did a really weird test, Ferrari, this week. Did anyone see it?
The 5-day test or whatever the feck it was, where they had all the kids
5
and
days?
signs.
5 days, 7 drivers.
Yep.
Only one survived.
Is this their name for Helmut Marko's COVID camp?
Could
Maybe.
be. I don't think Gasly was there.
Oh, get well soon, Pierre. He's tested positive.
Yes, maybe.
Yes, he has, yeah.
maybe they're just going to go all in with the cheating this year, and they're going to go into like scrutiny and the guys going to turn around and say, "So is that your engine this year?" So yeah, it's an engine, yeah, because it looks like a dark matter reactor.
Do you honestly think Ferrari could build a successful dark matter reactor?
No, the world would end.
No, because the world would end. Yes, the black hole would happen. Like we get off the grid in Bahrain.
He's been black hole.
As we listen to live sounds of Chris falling into a dark matter reactor.
Can you hear me, Major Tom?
Maybe this is what all their young drivers are made of. Their dark matter reactor is just like popping out a Ferrari child every hour or so. That's why they end up with 7 at one test.
And one who was notably not there was the now ex-Ferrari junior driver program member Giuliano Alesi.
Did anyone notice that he wasn't there, or was he just not there? I don't know if it was noticeable.
Yes, his new team in the support...
He was supposed to be there.
He was there.
He's been binned.
No, Giuliano Alesi was there for the test.
Oh,
Was
right.
he?
In that case, the binned
But that's how
him.
noticeable he
cease.
was.
No. He was. Well, I mean, he's out of the team, but they didn't bin him after the test. He was already going.
Ah, right. So, yeah. Come and test the car that you're never going to get to drive.
Yeah, I think it was just a case of they obviously still think very highly of him, but they've just got lots of drivers. Yeah, I don't think there was anything bad or anything about it. It's just he's not part of that program anymore
Because he's terrible.
He turned up to the test. Yeah, he's not great.
Yeah, he's definitely
I don't
not.
think he's going to be snapped up.
Oh, he's already got a drive for this year. It's in the what is it? The Super Formula Junior.
Oh wow,
That does not sound like a quality series.
So it's Japanese F3 basically.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And bearing in mind, Super Formula is really F2.
Yeah.
Or at least GP2 if they
It's
haven't-
where
if they've changed
it's
the
where
cars.
F2 champions go if there isn't a seat for them in F1 yet.
Yeah.
I think Flood must be on the backside of the moon. We should get a signal back with him soon.
Like it's. Oh yeah, he has completely disconnected. I'm just waiting for the message to come through saying, "Help! I've been eaten." Nope.
By the dark matter Ferrari machine.
I hope he just comes bursting in now. Now they're going, "This is Major Flood to ground control."
It's either going to be that or what year is it? Oh God, I'm completely lost where we are. It's just as well we didn't have any notes or a running order. Right, okay. So we've done Red Bull.
The thing, I don't think we're going in a particular order, really, are we?
Well, not really.
We're freestyling about
We've
the place.
sort of done a little bit of Ferrari. Carry on with those. So they've had the weird test.
Yes.
They're rebuilding the team from scratch. They brought in a new, let's face it, number 2 driver.
I think he's going to beat Charles Leclerc.
That's the thing. They think they've brought in a number 2 driver.
Yeah.
I don't think Carlos Sainz thinks they've brought in a number 2 driver.
Chris is showing
believe
up.
that's
Is he
Ferrari
back
anymore?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey! Back from the dark hole.
Yeah, as soon as he started talking about dark matter reactors, you kind of disappeared into one.
Yeah, ironic.
Right, we're slagging off Ferrari. I'm talking about Ferrari now.
Yeah, I don't think Ferrari are the same team as far as the number 1 and number 2 driver. It's not worked for them. They've changed their tack since with Vettel and Leclerc. I think even when Vettel was at the lowest points of last year, they didn't really number 2 Vettel. You know, he was still racing with Leclerc when he had the chance to and stuff like that. But I personally think Carlos Sainz is better than Leclerc. I think Leclerc's a little bit overrated, but it's still very good. But
You've never said that before.
yeah,
You've just pulled your cord again, haven't you?
I'm just not. I don't get the Leclerc hype train. Like I've said all along, all we've been comparing him against is a broken Sebastian Vettel. We're going to compare him next year against a hungry Carlos Sainz. I think that's going to be a very different situation for him.
We did get to compare him against Marcus Ericsson.
Yeah, does that count for much though?
What, Marcus Ericsson?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Carlos Sainz is not thinking he's going to be the number 2 driver, is he? Let's be honest.
I mean, he's more or less said I'm not going there to be the number 2, but is he going to get much say in the matter? And
yeah, I think he will, because don't forget as well, for Italians, Italians and Spanish sort of they're close. I'm sure Carlos can already speak Italian, for instance.
From Toro Rosso days, probably.
Yeah, I think there's more chance. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure the Tifosi love Charles Leclerc because he's been their sort of hope. But when you look at how the Ferrari fans took to Alonso, for instance, I think there's more for them to get behind with Carlos Sainz than there is with Charles Leclerc if he can hit the ground running. And that's who dictate Ferrari, if we're honest. No, it's not just about what goes on within the team. It's about what goes on in the Italian newspapers.
Yeah, true. Gazzetta dello Sport decided who's going to be doing what for the team. Right, here's one. Binotto still in charge at the end of the season or not? Or still in charge this time next year?
Kinda surprised he's still in charge now, if I'm honest.
So what do they do? Who do they get?
I think that's the reason he's still in charge, because there is no obvious replacement.
They should have never sacked Stefano Domenicali. He's been the best Ferrari boss. Yeah,
he's in charge of the sport.
I know. Yeah. Mind you, that might help them. Maybe their engine wouldn't got pulled.
Well, Ross Brawn, Jean Todt, and Stefano Domenicali are in charge of Formula One.
If they can't win now,
I mean, let's have a look. Who's likely to be next up? Probably Enrico Cardile, the technical director.
Everybody's just gone, who?
Yeah, you can hear the excitement for that appointment.
He's the one that used to be head of aerodynamics and they made technical director when they moved Binotto up.
Uh-huh.
Oh, him.
Yeah. He's done a great job of aero on that car.
Because basically he got where he did because Arriva Bene got fired.
Right, so there's the whole issue with Ferrari at the moment, that it's managed by a load of people who've basically been over-promoted above their talent.
Dead men's boots, but because it's Italian, they are very well made and stylish.
Of course, yes.
Unfortunately, because it's Ferrari, they're also bright red. I think we just killed the pair of them.
No, I'm listening to you.
Either that or Lee's rushed out to buy some red Ferrari boots.
Absolutely not. It's a bit of a shame, actually, because I had an uncomfortable relationship with Ferrari because I quite like Vettel, and now I quite like Carlos Sainz, so I want him to do well. I just wish there was another driver that could have gone to Ferrari that I think's a prick, and then normal service can resume.
Yeah.
Maybe a swap with.
Look at the pictures of Carlos Sainz in his new team gear, that Ferrari polo shirt that he's been wearing.
He was
some
he's
people
got his hair off, though, hasn't he?
He always gets new hair for a new team.
Yeah, he's got.
But
I feel this is more important than it's just glossing over.
No, not really. A lot of people were just were saying that because it's red and black, does that mean that this year's Ferrari is going to be red and black? Now, I think we can remember when Statman was on last time or time before. There has never been a successful red and black Ferrari.
Mm-hmm. Just trying to think now.
I mean, are we particularly anticipating? Yeah, are we particularly anticipating a successful Ferrari anyway? They might as well stick it in the doomed livery and get that out the way for a while.
No, just go.
I mean,
just
it
go
looks
back to
good, red and black, but yeah,
just go back to the pre-Schumacher one. It was Berger and Alessi Crimson one that struggled to finish.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the 1995 one I think was the last red and black one, and I think that was when Alesi won a race that season in Canada. His only race.
His
perhaps?
only win.
Yeah,
After
his only race.
After being touted as future world champion.
Well, yeah, he's another one who started off super strongly, didn't he, in his career, and then just sort of faded away as his career went on.
Yeah, he just turned into a complete. Why is he still there? Who's hired him? And wasn't it in his last year ended up in 3 teams in one season or something?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Talking of future world champions, well, let's do Haas next, because apparently Mick Schumacher is the second coming.
I read something today that Jock Clear has been tasked with giving Mick Schumacher pointers. Now, I don't think Jock Clear was like a driving coach. He was more technical, wasn't he, when he was at Mercedes and Ferrari?
Well, he came from Williams and then BAR, and then stayed into the Braun and Mercedes years. Because I mean, he started out as Jacques Villeneuve's race engineer.
Yeah, because he is a pitbull guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was at Ferrari as well, wasn't he, Jock Clear, for a while? I'm sure he was.
Yes.
Yeah, after he left Mercedes, he went to Ferrari.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
thought
it makes
he
sense.
was there a bit before.
Sorry, go on, Sean.
I was just going to say, I thought he was there a bit before Mercedes, but I may be slightly out of order in my head.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
but
not sure.
You often hear the pit wall guys, especially like chief engineers, like coaching the drivers around the circuits. You know what they should be doing, where they should be doing it. Very similar to what Bono was doing with George Russell, when he was in Mercedes. So it seems like seems pretty reasonable to me.
Now I see. His last job was Leclerc's driver coach.
Oh, interesting. He is obviously just the Ferrari noob coming into F1 minder.
Yeah, possibly.
It would appear so. Oh, right, okay. So, started off at Benetton. Went with Johnny Herbert. Went to Williams with Coulthard.
Oh no!
Yeah. Then he was Villeneuve's engineer 96 to 2003. So that's Williams, and then on to BAR. Then Takuma Sato when he was driving what was becoming the Honda. Then Barrichello, 06 to 09. Then back to Mercedes for Rosberg, and then Schumacher, and then Hamilton pre-Bonner.
I feel like he's worked with a lot of runners-up.
And some champions.
I was going to say I can see 4 champions in there,
and there's a few of them in there, but yeah,
and some
4 champions.
Yeah, Hamilton, Schumacher, Rosberg, Villeneuve.
Oh, Rosberg, yeah, I always forget about him.
Is this where I do a jump cut and play the Rosbergian national anthem? I can mix fumbling around over the top of it as well if you really want to hurt people.
Only if Mick Schumacher claims to be Canadian.
So yeah,
right. Well, just quickly though, let's just say Schumacher comes in and he's really good, right? So he's won the F2 championship on merit. Good lad, Mick. He did exactly what he needed to do. On Ferrari, doesn't Ferrari have a driver issue at that point?
Well, the problem is, I don't think he's going to do. I mean, what would you call Mick Schumacher doing really well? Getting 5 points finishes this season in Haas, which was an absolute dog of a car for the last 2 years and doesn't show any signs of improving this year.
If you George Russell's Mazepin, if you can George Russell Mazepin, then it's on, because Mazepin. I mean, that would be even a better. A better benchmark, because I know it's not very popular to say it, but like Mazepin's not a particularly bad driver. So if you can do Mazepin,
I'm looking forward to the start of the season with Mazepin, because he is that much of a liability on track.
I love him. I'm buying a T-shirt.
Off track.
He's
I
Maldonado,
boils
isn't he?
so
He's
much
fast,
piss.
but he's so hot-headed.
Yeah, he's either fast or in a wall, and I think we're going to get to run a game this year about when he's going to bin it. I think Mazepin is the successor to the past the disaster predictor.
But even off track, what he's going to say to people off track, what he's going to say in interviews, he's going to upset so many people, and I'm going to love every fucking second of it.
By being an absolute cock.
He might be my favourite driver by the end of the first race. of all time.
Yeah, and when it goes wrong with Mazepin, when he does inevitably cause some kind of shitstorm, Gunter Steiner is going to have to deal with it. That is an episode of Netflix.
Do you know what's going to happen, though? Gunter's not ready for Mazepin. Gunter's going to try and swear at Mazepin, and Mazepin's going to floor him. That's what's going to happen.
This is the Netflix episode we are waiting
season
for.
4 should
yes.
just follow the Haas team.
Yes,
It will
please.
actually just be driving to actually survive, because it will just be a car chase of Gunter Steiner trying to drive for his life away from Nikita Mazepin.
Just people.
What's going to happen is then Gunter's going to get up. He's going to go to walk towards Mazepin, and Mazepin's going to say, "Take one more step, and I will buy the piece of land underneath your next foot."
He could afford to. That's the thing.
So then, Lee, here's one if it happens. Australia in the paddock. Mazepin chins Jenson Button.
Oh.
Why Australia?
First race. Oh no, sorry, not the first race. Bahrain.
No, it's been moved to November, hasn't it? This is the
Yes.
interesting
Not
thing
Jensen.
because
Jensen's special, or Alonso. You can stay away from them pair, right?
Right, takes Alonso out turn 1, first race.
Oh, that's all fair fucks, isn't it? That's all. I mean, that
Deliberately
that's gonna just,
and says he deserves it.
exactly, and that's just going to lead to more piss boiling. And I'm not going to be happy about it because I want Alonso to do well. But I love every fucking grain of it.
Grainy
I
piss.
mean, his
I'm
behaviour.
going to start the hashtag. We say more of Mazepin.
No,
No.
absolutely not.
Nah.
And that's not associated with that at all. His behaviour off track is
Cuntish. And I'm
not-
sorry for
He's a
C-bombing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mazepin's a full-on massive dickhead. Let's be honest. But Haas have made the decision to stick with him, and they've had. But when was the last time somebody had to publicly come out and say, "No, we're sticking by this driver because of their off-track behaviour"? I don't think it's ever happened before, has it?
Particularly not
not
before
really.
they've done a race.
Yes. Eddie Jordan publicly
Is it
supported.
Adrian?
Eddie Jordan publicly supported. Was it Carl Wendlinger who got put in prison for macing a taxi driver?
Oh, now this sounds classy.
No,
To
that
be
was
fair-
Bertrand Gachot.
Oh, was it
wasn't
Bertrand Gachot?
Bertrand Gachot, who Michael Schumacher replaced Bertrand Gachot, and then that was how Schumacher got his debut. But
What's his name? What's his name was just as bad. Fucking Sutil.
He could be a bit of a prick. Yeah.
Sutil glassed someone, didn't he? He should have lost his drive for glassing somebody.
Didn't he kick off about like Lewis Hamilton was there and then Hamilton wouldn't defend him and then he had a kick off at Hamilton for something else?
Like that, yeah.
Oh, did he try to sue Hamilton
Like
because he
possibly.
wouldn't stand up for him in court or
Yeah, it's like,
something?
well, you glass
Yeah.
someone. Maybe you don't want your friend defending you for that.
Maybe don't hit people with glasses.
It's a good start,
Yeah.
isn't it, really? It's a solid policy.
yeah.
Talking of off-track pricks, I'm amazed they've got to drive. Fucking Deleda. I mean,
Yes, what the
guy,
fuck is this?
The guy films himself doing, what was it, 150 mile an hour down a motorway in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, if Alex Peroni, who was one of his teammates in F3, does not end up with a better F2 drive than that prick, something has gone wrong.
Yeah, he gets holed up in front of the FIA. They tell him that he's got to do community service for the FIA Action on Road Safety, and they give him an F2 drive.
No.
Let's
Well,
not forget.
it's keeping him off the road.
Let's not forget that time that Lewis Hamilton wrapped up a Bugatti Veyron on him in Monaco because he was tired driving home from a party.
That was just expensive. That wasn't fast. He was trying to park it.
I think that
Did
was
you
at
not see
least...
Did you not see the state of it?
I didn't
Can't
do a good
remember
job
off
of
the top of my
parking
head.
it.
No, it was the front was wrapped up. He was not trying to park it. Wasn't he
And,
going into the tunnel as well?
No, it was under a road bridge, I think.
Oh, was it?
But Gunter Good news, though, coming out of the junior formulas today. Formula 3,
Yes.
ART have given Juan Manuel Correa a drive for 2021.
This is exciting.
That is incredible news. I mean, the what he's done to come back with the injuries that he had.
I think he's had something like 17 operations or something wild like that just on the one leg.
I mean, at one point, he looked like he was going to lose one, if not both legs.
And he was very, very ill
And
in
then he
hospital.
walked at Belgium.
Yeah.
At Belgium for the Antoine Hubert Memorial just before the race start. He walked from the pit lane unassisted to the grid. He did have to have sticks for mostly, but he was quite determined. No, I'm going to walk there, and I'm going to stand there, and I'm going to walk back. The cojones on the man. You know what? It's ridiculous. That's balls. That's
Could
balls
be.
of steel.
Could be almost another Herbert story if you can get him to Formula One.
He's still young. There's still time.
F3 as well this year. A lot of the ones that were at the sharp end of the grid last year have gone up into F2, so there is like someone in the right car with a bit more experience than some of the other ones kicking around. There's a title there for someone.
And ART haven't been too shabby in F3 over recent years.
But I have also read that after a 2-year absence, I think this is on Autosport, after a 2-year absence, Roberto Meri can make a return to F2.
God.
Oh, my
Give it up,
God.
Roberto.
He's one of those. I mean, you've got to admire his persistence.
It's a feeder series. He got fed. It didn't work out. Go somewhere else, mate.
I mean, his persistence in keeping on coming back to F2 and trying to complete a bloody lap. He's getting overtaken by Max Chilton.
Oh, dear.
So, what do we think Haas's chances of actually achieving anything this year are? Because with no major changes to the car and 2 rookies in the team, it's gonna be a struggle for them.
It depends how much of an impact Ferrari's new engine is. Because that's the other thing to think about. All the Ferrari-powered cars last year were all hampered by Ferrari being crap. So,
There is that, and there is also the prospect of William Story returning to Formula One, according to
God.
William Story.
So it's
Yeah, but no one quite knows how, do they? He said, I'm in talks, but no one knows with who or in
which-
what capacity.
And whichever
Quite sorry.
whichever team takes on his sponsorship can expect to finish last.
And get fired midway through the season.
maybe that's why Williams have taken Jensen on. You go keep him out of the way of the team. Literally take one for us. Right then, okay, so a Ferrari engine in a slightly better car. Alfa Romeo. Now, they've renewed their deal. Well, Sauber have renewed the deal with Alfa Romeo till the end of 2022. And also renewed their engine deal with Ferrari till the end of 2024. Ruining our prediction that they were going to go with Renault.
Yeah, I don't think, as long as that team was called Alfa Romeo, I can't see them ever being Alfa Romeo, Renault. I mean, fair enough, they're road cars built by their engines in from various other places, but when you've got somebody in the sport who's as closely tied to Ferrari as Alfa Romeo, it's difficult to see exactly how they would be able to move away from that engine supply. They are almost definitely always going to be a Ferrari team as long as they're called Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, I can't see it being otherwise, because why would Ferrari want to have one of their brand names on a car and then give a free advert to another manufacturer straight after it?
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't make sense to me. And also, I wouldn't be surprised if Haas broke away from the Ferrari stable. I think they've, excuse the pun, I think they've taken all that they could, get from Ferrari. It gave them half a car for a year where they scored some decent points. But now that Ferrari appear to be Alfa Romeo is their second team. It's not Haas. And,
Well-
Haas might have been right.
Well, when they announced that Mick Schumacher was driving for him, a lot of it on both sides was, this is strengthening the ties between the two teams, with Mick being on the Ferrari Junior program, and Haas at Ferrari are committed to doing what they can for Haas. Although
I think it's only been
what they've done for him isn't a great deal.
no, not really. It's a strange one, really. I don't think. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see Haas jump ship from Ferrari to another engine supplier in a couple of years. But I think the only reason Mick Schumacher's in a Haas is because he won the F2 title and he couldn't go. He couldn't do another year in F2, and Ferrari absolutely had to put him in a Formula One car, because you can't have a Schumacher as an F2 champion and not put him in a Formula One seat the following season.
Hoping someone's
what is
pouring
this
a
noise?
drink.
I really hope that's the box of wine that you're opening, Lee.
That was loud, wasn't it?
I thought maybe you discorded on your phone and taken us to the toilet or something. I was very confused.
No. I thought we're having such a lovely chin work. I went and had a wee. I got myself some cheese and a glass.
What cheese are you on? That's the important part.
Just mature cheddar and some jalapenos.
Classic.
Not too bad. I've still got the Christmas Stilton in the fridge.
Nasty.
That'll be nice and ripe.
Oh, is it? I was going to say, is it still in?
It's
is
still
it still
sealed.
in use by date.
It's still in date and it's still sealed. I
Okay.
may have cheese at the weekend.
I opened a Stilton and then forgot about it. That was a bad idea.
How can you forget about it every time you open the fridge?
No, it was in a sealed container purely because of that reason. Because Izzy can't stand the smell of strong cheese, and I love cheese because I don't understand why. If you like cheese, then surely having something that's cheesier than cheese is better. So a strong cheese is better than a weak cheese.
I can't do cheese with mould in it.
I'm the same. I like a strong cheese, but a blue cheese it doesn't taste good. I'm not grossed out by the
Yes,
mold
blue cheese
concept.
is
It
the
just
best.
tastes badly.
And according to you, it smells too bad because every time we have
It
Stilton,
does
I've got to
fucking
cut it
stink,
myself.
to be fair. Yeah, I ain't touching it. I don't want it tainting
I
my
like
smell
cheese
zone.
so much that I actually got gifted a cheese board and knife set.
Cheese knives
at
are cool.
Christmas.
They're little and pointy. I like a good cheese knife.
There was a supermarket chain in the UK a
Yeah.
couple of years ago did a cheese advent calendar, and I was gutted that it wasn't one that's over here. A different cheese for every day of December.
But you have to keep that in the fridge, surely.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say, I know what the 24th is. I can smell it.
Right. After veering off into the world of cheese, we'll talk talk about the Red Bull teams in general, because we haven't really done AlphaTauri yet.
No, well, we knew that Tsunoda was going to be in this season. Mm-hmm. He's done a test, hasn't he, in a 2016, which I think is quite old.
Yeah, because they're contesting up to 2018 cars now, can't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he did a test in like a 2016 Toro Rosso, re-liveried as an AlphaTauri. I think that's about it. We haven't really seen much from that team. We know that Gasly's got the COVID and hope he gets better soon. However, Gasly and also with Lando Norris, did they travel unnecessarily during the break when maybe they didn't have to?
I mean, what was it? Lando was at a fitness camp somewhere in the UAE when he got it, and
Leclerc
was there
also
as
in the
well.
UAE. Gasly, I don't know. I don't know what
fitness camp.
Gasly's schedule has been. Yes.
Maybe it's the same fitness
I
camp.
don't want to cast aspersions.
Maybe it
No,
was.
but I do believe it's PR speak for on holiday.
Yeah, maybe it was the same fitness camp that Celtic went to, and they came back with a manager and
And Andy Murray.
9 of the first team with COVID.
Celtic came back with Andy Murray.
I always thought he was an Arsenal fan.
Right, so pretty much the last thing... Pierre Gasly's last post on Instagram was him running.
I think we just killed Craig.
Celtic went to Dubai for a training camp and they came back out with a new signing. The most dour Scotsman you've ever heard.
First game comes around, they're looking at it going, "You're rubbish."
Yes.
Andy Murray, professional footballer, what happened? Well, I was just out on the pitch doing what I had to do, and the ball came towards me. I wasn't very good because I'm not a footballer.
In all seriously, no shit, Gasly has been at a fitness camp in Dubai. Very.
Oh, Christ.
Although he also, for some reason, appears to have gone
And he's got Andy Murray.
skateboarding through a sand dune, which does not look like a fitness exercise. It just looks like pricking around in the desert.
Being paid money by Red Bull to do something that's going to hurt.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is that about?
He's only in the B team. He came on with Tim Henman.
Tiger Tim.
It's like the worst nickname for a person ever, wasn't it? There was nothing tigery or ferocious about Tim Henman and his lightly clenched fist.
I know a Tyler called Tony the Tyler.
Is he any good?
No,
No!
he's fine. He manages a pub now.
You were meant to say about how great he is?
Oh, man. Oh, sorry. It was in the air. It was a big glowing ball, wasn't it?
Oh, perfect setup and knockback. Right. What?
Good job. I don't think I'm some sort of comedian.
Neither does anyone else. I think we've covered everything outside of Mercedes now, haven't we?
Yeah, we're up to Lewis's contract, non-contract, etc., etc.
So at the moment,
apparently,
Bottas is the number one driver in the fastest team, and yet somehow isn't favourite to win the world title.
Poor Bottas.
Isn't it amazing? Right, because I do find, and again, I'm not Lewis Hamilton bashing. I can't be bothered doing that. I just want something interesting.
He's just pulling
and
his
I think
cord.
George Russell going to Mercedes, I find interesting. I think it'll make for an interesting year. But like one of the things I do find now is that Lewis Hamilton's like a bit like Ferrari. It's kind of a cult now. Like his hardcore fans, it's kind of a cult. Like you can't. If you don't go with the cult as far as the Hamilton line goes, you are mauled by these people. But I can understand. He's asking for more money where people are getting laid off. I can understand the position they're in.
Yeah, totally. They are still trying to talk out. The thing that confuses me, I think I said this in our chat thread, was that like, whether or not you believe all of these things that are being put out, like Hamilton's demanding this and Mercedes are saying that, that's all conjecture, and whether or not you believe it is totally up to you. The worrying thing, not worrying as such, but like the unstabilizing thing for Mercedes is that somebody somewhere, either in Mercedes or in Hamilton's camp, is putting that out there for the media to print.
I mean, don't forget, it's not Hamilton's camp, it's Hamilton.
It's not strengthening. Yeah, but it's not strengthening anyone's position at all whatsoever.
I think Mercedes are fine. I think that's the issue here. I know that again, these are the things that you get shouted at for Hamilton fans. George Russell destroyed Hamilton's plans this year as far as contract negotiations went. In one race, he destroyed the plans because it proved one of two things. Either you can take any decent driver, put them in that car and they're going to win a world championship in the Mercedes, which instantly means you don't need Lewis Hamilton to do the job. Or George Russell, the guy that's Mercedes junior driver in the Williams, happens to be one of the best drivers on the grid and is super special. Both of which fuck Hamilton's negotiations.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that, because the ideal result for Lewis Hamilton in the race that he didn't do was a respectable race for Russell. Maybe sort of
midpoints,
maybe pushing for a podium with Bottas winning it.
Or even if he got a podium, split with the Red Bulls, like Max gets ahead of George Russell. So Lewis can turn around and say, the ideal thing for Lewis would have been that Max Verstappen wins the race. And Lewis could have been like, well, I'd have won that race, but without me in the Mercedes, Red Bull can beat us.
Yeah, it sort of shows that even Bottas is not a viable option.
Yeah. What I find amazing is when you go into the deepest, darkest corners of the comment sections on posts and articles.
Will you stop reading ESPN, please?
No, but this is all of them, though. All of them. Like, the Lewis Hamilton fans out there, I don't just mean like the decent, honest Formula One fans that just like Lewis Hamilton. I mean like the Lewis Hamilton fanboys. Yeah. Are trying to pretend.
And fangirls.
Yeah, but they're trying to pretend that this is perfectly normal. That this is perfectly normal to be, under 2 months away from the beginning of the season, and for one of the top cars to still be driverless, and that to be the world champion.
When is testing?
I mean,
like a couple of weeks. It's pretty imminent.
Testing's at the end of this month.
Crazy.
But the main thing,
March 12th to 14th.
Oh, is it that late? My apologies.
Yeah, because it's going to be...
26th of Feb.
Yeah, it was when it was going to be Australia, but now the first race is going to be Bahrain.
Yes.
They've moved the testing to
Fair
Bahrain.
enough.
Oh, right, okay. Fine. But what was I going to say then? Lost my train of thought. Toto Wolff tested positive for COVID after Christmas. So
Good to hear that.
Yeah, so he wasn't able to get to actual meetings. He admitted that him and Lewis Hamilton have had Zoom meetings where they've sworn at each other a little bit. So it's clearly gotten quite heated. It's just the longer it goes on, the more it plays into everybody else's hands who aren't Mercedes.
This is where I'm going to show my working out about why a Mercedes driver isn't going to win a world championship next year.
This year.
Sorry, this year. If, let's say Lewis gets replaced first and George Russell does go into the team, it's a big ask for George Russell to go into the team and win a world championship in his first year in a new team, regardless if it's Mercedes or not. I do think he'll have the measure of Bottas or be on pace with Bottas, which will destabilise the team. Enter Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, or Sebastian Vettel.
Or Daniel Ricciardo.
I was going to say, you're not including Ricciardo in that.
No, I just don't think McLaren are going to be there that year, and I just can't see it. Like I said, I'm picking Alonso not just because I love him, but just because of the way Renault finished the season off last year. Also, the building that Alpine seem to be doing in the team. There seems to be like real investment, and a real push forward for that team next year. But but on the other hand, and this is even if Lewis stays at Mercedes, it's going to be a fractured relationship like it was with Daniel Ricciardo and Renault. We know Lewis Hamilton, he doesn't work well. He doesn't work well when he's not comfortable and he's not happy. And I think that's if you're going to get, even if he stays at Mercedes, I think you're going to get a destabilised Lewis like you had when Rosberg was in the team. Only this time it won't be another driver that's destabilising Lewis.
Remember our
him.
Remember our catchphrase when we first started? If Honda are powered by dreams, and Mercedes powered by dramas.
Yes, yeah, exactly. But that's why I think next year's a massive opportunity for a team that isn't Mercedes. I mean, you would have to think of not Vettel. You'd have to think of Max Verstappen being in the key seat to like profit from this. But I do think Vettel is at 33-1. Vettel is worth £5.
And I thought you were going to go for a different catchphrase then, Paul. That the only person who can beat Lewis Hamilton is Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah.
He would have to basically just destroy his own chances of becoming an 8-time champion by I'm not saying he's being greedy. I'm not saying that we know very little or next to nothing about how the negotiations are going. But I mean, end of the day, if you're not sat in that car, you're not winning shit.
True.
Yeah.
In that case, if we're doing the greatest hits, we're just happy that we never really mentioned the fact that Kimi Räikkönen's replaced Kimi Räikkönen because he's always the best replacement for him.
The other thing for
and Giovinazzi also is taking part this season. Their contractual obligation, we've got him out of the way.
The other thing I'm interested about Lewis Hamilton's contract is, and the rumours that have gone around it, is that one of the rumours are that he didn't want George Russell in the team for the rest of the time he was in. And I think that more than money could be a stumbling block, because if you don't, they would essentially have to sacrifice George Russell for a driver which is probably going to retire in 2 to 3 years to do that.
That's the thing. We're not entirely sure how accurate that is. The only the place that I've seen that attributed to is somewhere not 100% reliable. Planet F1.
Well, Hamilton has always insisted previously.
The guys in the race were talking about it as well.
Well, Hamilton has always insisted, and Hamilton's words, not necessarily anyone else's, that he has never had any kind of number one driver clause or teammate clause or any of that stuff in his contract.
Not needed it, has he?
Well, no.
I think that's the difference. If anyone knows what it's like to be the special guy of the team boss coming into a major team and to take on the established world champion, it's Lewis Hamilton that understands that. And let's face it, Lewis Hamilton is an employee of Mercedes, and he's been, it's not like Toto Wolff brought him in to Formula One, whereas George Russell is very much in the Toto's Lewis, as Dennis had Lewis.
Yeah, because Ron Dennis described Lewis as the best we've brought through since Hakkinen. Because Hakkinen was always a Ron Dennis's favourite driver.
Yeah. Well, the other thing to think is, you had look how good Toto Wolff and has stuck with Valtteri Bottas, who he was also instrumental in the early days of his career. It obviously means a lot to Toto bringing people into the sport, and the fact that he tried to do the same with Ocon and essentially sacrificed Ocon for George Russell, I think it shows what he feels about George Russell.
I mean, these next 6 weeks, as it is now, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, and it's going to be almost daily tweets.
It has to be done in 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, it has to be sorted out, surely. I mean, what's going on? Is Lewis being measured for the car? Is he doing any simulator work at the minute? He's not an employee of Mercedes. He's under no obligation to do it.
Apparently, he doesn't do simulator work during the season anyway.
Stoffel's been doing lots of simulator work. He's been posting a lot about that.
Yeah, they've got Stoffel and Di Resta for that.
I forget about Di Resta.
I don't know. It's strange. You see, the thing, there becomes a time in a job where, regardless of how good you are, your cons can outweigh your positives. And, I don't understand how people can't forget what's happened in the past. Williams is a prime example of this. It's the Formula World champions being dropped from teams is not a new thing.
True. I mean, Williams have got previous in it.
Ferrari, Raikkonen.
Yeah. Yeah, paid him a fortune not to drive because they'd got Alonso. That went well.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't saying it was a good example.
No, it's gonna be the soap opera of the off season, which probably means it'll merit about 30 seconds on 2022's Drive to Survive.
There is always the option that it's been done for weeks and Mercedes are just loving the drama.
No, remember the thing with Toto as well is that when he took on, he brought Ineos in, didn't he? It was part of his staying on deal. That was like part of Toto staying on for 3 years, was bringing Ineos in as 33% share, stakeholders in the race team. So Toto might be only signing on for like another 3 years, but what he's doing is he's building his
legacy,
like a legacy or like a dynasty sort of thing. So if he can step away in 3 years' time, and it's all Toto's work, everybody goes, well, Toto built this, Toto started this. It should be comfortable for Lewis Hamilton to sign, but it may well not be. It might just be one of those things where they just can't. They just can't hash it out. Yeah, I think they will. I still think they will. But I don't think Lewis is going to be given the 3 years that Toto's been given, and I think that's kind of what Lewis is asking for. Lewis and Toto don't go hand in hand.
I wonder as well whether there's just a chance of a sabbatical here. And, I mean, let's face it, right? If he doesn't sign for Mercedes, then... I mean, every driver's on notice all of a sudden. It's for 2022. I don't care who you are, what contract you've got, and what team you're in. But especially if you happen to be in a red car.
No, I think the Haas drivers would be pretty safe.
Yeah, Hassan Williams might be all right, actually. But, I could see a Ferrari driver getting axed for Lewis Hamilton to come in.
We know when Perez was looking for a seat a couple of months back, he said, I've already got options for 2022. So we know there are a lot of people who can't be nailed on for 2022. Yeah. So,
well, we know that Ocon's out of contract then at Alpine, as will be. Mm-hmm. Bottas is the king of the 1 year contract. I think he's actually wallpapered his house with them. He's had enough of them now.
I'd be surprised if Hamilton doesn't re-sign for Mercedes and then replaces Bottas. And again, anything could happen.
I mean, after 12 months, that Alonso kid might get found out. And Latifi's only as good as his next check.
His checks are fairly solid, I believe.
Pretty much.
He doesn't even have to put like the guarantee thing on the back of the beach check.
It's fine. It's fine.
The thing is, Latifi's not a bad driver. Latifi's an all right driver. It's just that
the car's an absolute lump of crap.
Yeah, and George Russell is that good.
Yeah.
Latifi got 3 11th placed finishes in 2020. In his rookie season, he nearly scored points on 3 occasions in the Williams. Not George Russell had to go to Merckx to score points.
I'm going to upset people, so it's fine.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, it's what you do.
But I think George Russell is better than Lewis Hamilton at the same stage. I know Lewis had a world championship, but he had a car to win.
I think he's hungrier.
But I mean, at the same point in his career, because Lewis Hamilton was very crashy. He used to burn his tires out all the time, if you remember. It looked at one point whether that was going to be like his Achilles heel. I still think being Jenson Button's teammate helped him learn how to keep his tires together, because now he's a master of it, isn't he?
Now he's one of the best.
I think George Russell is a better all-round racing driver in his... This is going to be his 3rd year, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, I think he's better. Last year, I think he's a better Formula One driver than Lewis was when he won a world championship.
Well, I think one of the things with Lewis is he is that talented that all he had to do was take part in a series and he knew, and he'd got the numbers to back it up and the results to back it up, that he was the person there with the best chance of winning it, all things being equal. Even when he won F1, yeah, all right, it took until the last corner of the last lap of the last race of the season to confirm it.
And Timo Glock to throw the towel in.
Yeah, and Toyota not realising it was raining.
But very much having a car built by McLaren the following year.
Yeah.
Also, circling back to our earlier conversation about cars that would have been world champions with someone else at the wheel, the 2008 Ferrari. Massa was shocking at the start of 2008.
Yes, he was, wasn't he?
When traction control rules changed and he kept pirouetting everywhere.
When he forgot how to take corners.
Yes.
But right up to that point, I mean, Hamilton was that close to winning the title in his debut season. And right up to that point, it was just, I get in a car, I know I'm going to win, I am that good. And I can't remember where I was going with this. Oh, yeah, that's it. George
Russell is different.
George Russell's different because he hasn't come into F1 in a top team. Yeah, he came in as F2 champion. But he's actually got that little bit of extra fight in him where it's, well, I don't know if I've got the machinery to win, but I'm going to give it a damn good go. And, you know, there's a little bit of, at the same age, there's a little bit of extra spark there in George. And I do see where you're coming from with this, Lee.
Yeah, there's a bit of maturity, isn't there, in George that you didn't get with Lewis, I think.
Yeah, because he was that sure of himself that I am that good. And yeah, right, he was. He definitely backed it up. But with George, I think it's a case of, right, I'm going to be better than I was, even though I won last time out. I'm going to win by a bigger margin.
I think there's another thing as well. I think George is very much cut from the same cloth as Michael Schumacher in the way he approaches things.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't cheat
yet,
or ski, thankfully. But the thing is, I think he's a better team player than Lewis might be, and I think you're going to have. We talk about the balance that Lewis has had to find, between personal life and on track to get everything in motion. Whereas you didn't really have that with Michael Schumacher. To keep him on a level peg, he just had to do well on track, and that's what made him happy, and that's what made him complete, and it's what made him such a machine. I'm not saying Lewis isn't a winning machine. It's just different ways to go about it. I would think, as a team owner, that a Michael Schumacher was less work than Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, do you want the last guy out of the garage, or do you want the guy who wins stuff and then has to disappear off to launch his new fashion collection?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I mean, the thing is, it's crazy speaking about this about Lewis Hamilton, because there should never be a situation where someone that's that talented is struggling for negotiations. I was amazed by the money that they were talking about for highest paid Formula One drivers, because there was something like 40 million.
But that's what he's on at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I think that's what he's on at the moment. That's what he was on last season.
But you know who, to put this in perspective, yeah? If he stays on the same amount that he was on last year, which is 40 million, which we don't think he will because we think he wants a pay rise.
Well, it's not that. The Mercedes need to make cuts.
Yeah. But he wants... it's rumoured he wants a cut from Mercedes, the organisation as well, isn't it? That's one of the...
And the TV money as well.
But let's go, scrap all that for a second. Let's just keep him at the 40 million. That's what he's getting as a basic wage for next year. Do you know who the second highest paid driver would be this year? Fernando Alonso on 15 million.
Really?
Yes. That is a wage gap. FTSE millionaires Max Verstappen underneath that, and then I can't remember the rest.
I mean, 40 million a year, that's like basketball money.
It's less
Yeah,
than
it's crazy.
Raikkonen was on when he signed for Ferrari.
No, 40.
Yeah. Raikkonen was something like a 3-year, 150. It was ridiculous. It's still one of the biggest sports contracts of all time.
Oh, really?
It was obscene. That's why they paid him to go away.
Right. Something's hissing.
I don't know if it's me.
It stopped. Jesus. Right, so we've got car launches coming up. And the first one that's confirmed is on a Monday.
Outrageous.
It's McLaren on the 15th. However,
Yep.
it's going to be on a Monday where we can't talk about it on the podcast because it's going to
This
be
is online.
and it's going to be going on while we're recording the show.
We want to do it live then. Why don't we see if we can...
We can
why don't
live
watch
react.
the McLaren launch live and pod it at the same time.
So we'll have to do it that way.
You can listen to Three Legs, Four Wheels reacts to the new McLaren.
Yeah.
That was a YouTube style of video a while back.
Yeah, that's true.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah.
So
what we need to have the cover photo for this podcast then is Lee looking utterly shocked at something that looks vaguely papaya.
Or just a papaya.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Yes.
Lee, you've got 2 weeks to nip to the exotic greengrocers, buy a papaya, and be shocked by it.
I think they do papaya in the not so exotic supermarket down the road.
Oh, right.
I don't think it's that specialist fruit.
No, just thinking with Lee in his status of resident hipster. How's the beard this week?
It's like rough and caveman-y with a bit of like pirate chic.
In that case, he's got a regular subscription for papayas then.
There's going to be a fair few, isn't there? A fair few beards out this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I don't. If I've got any type of beard at all, it's not a hipster beard because I don't maintain it. I have a man's beard.
So, according to first website I found, by the way, Raikkonen was paid 153 million.
Pornhub.
It was not Pornhub, funnily enough. He was not paid 153 million pounds by Pornhub from 2007 until 2009. 153 million.
Jesus. Talking of that, the website that you use on iRacing, if you want,
The Finnish man fucks Italians.
Is that how you get the Rosbergian national anthem?
possibly. Yeah, the website that you use if you're on iRacing, if you want to put a different livery on your car, has banned all Pornhub liveries because I think they were sick of them.
People will find a way around this.
Oh, guaranteed.
The internet is always one step ahead of internet bans.
Yeah, there's a lot of cars going around tracks decorated in horn pub ones at the minute.
No, there'll be like OnlyFans liveries next.
I think that's about it for everything that we've missed over the last 6 weeks. Would you say?
I think so.
Yeah.
If there's anything else, I can't remember it.
I mean, there was the whole calendar
We
changes,
managed
but
to
we
get
sort of
our ducks
touched
in a
on
row.
that.
Yeah.
But we are now up to date. So, you know that Total Shunt special that we didn't do over Christmas because we were just all too
Shunted out.
shunted, burnt out, and Christmassy?
Full of cheese.
Mainly, yes, except for me and Stilton. That'll be gone by this time next week.
We still talk about Pornhub.
Shall we do the Shunt special next week?
Why not?
And we'll all do some shunts. So you can get shunts in by...
You can tweet me in a private message at a total shunt on Instagram or Twitter. Because don't tweet me on Instagram. Send me a private message on Instagram. You can't tweet me if it's Instagram. But if you want them done, do it. And if you want if you already sent one in, then message me again and bump up the list because obviously we haven't done this for ages. So I've got loads of Twitter messages that are nothing to do with Formula One, and your total shunt is going to be so far down the list. I'll never find it with that shovel.
And send them into 3legs4wheels@gmail.com as well, because we're not going to put all the pressure on Lee asking the questions next week. I'll do some. Sean, I believe you're in the process of writing one as well.
I can only mispronounce so many names in one night.
No. Let's get that sentence right. You mispronounce so many names in one night. You
I
can drop
messaged someone tonight, and she replied to me saying, "I've had a mini stroke reading your last message."
You pull her cord as well. Sean, you were gonna
What
try
was
and
I
get
gonna
what you're gonna
Yeah,
try
I
and finish
kinda
your
I
shunts.
half wrote one in my head a while back, so I might put some vague effort into finishing that.
Yeah, Chris, do you fancy shunting too?
I can either write one, or people can send me a direct message on Twitter at Flood21.
And if you want to get hold of the rest of us, obviously 3legs4wheels@gmail.com, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, all at 3legs4wheels, and individually on Twitter we are.
At Sean Cowper.
You got Lee's, got Chris's, I'm at Pablo100. Just want to give a shout out to one of our longest serving listeners who's actually started doing his own podcast, and it's not about motor racing, it's not about Formula One.
Ooh, okay.
Surprisingly. Alexis Ferraris. He has been doing a podcast for a while called Read Between the Lines.
I've just realised his name makes your home assistant buy you an expensive car.
It is the kind of name.
Expensive car.
It is the kind of name that should be doing a motorsport podcast. I mean, I know we've just said he's not doing a motorsport podcast, but
His podcast Read Between...
Or should be featured in Pornhub videos.
I don't think this is where he wanted this plug to go.
I really don't, but he's been asking for it for a while, and we haven't recorded a show where we could put this out in about 6 weeks.
Which plug would that be, Sean?
I'm leaving all this in. I am leaving all this in. His show is called Between the Lines. It's about communication and business.
The show's called Between the Lines, which incidentally you have to do to try and work out what's going on now.
And it's in all the usual places, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So if business and communication podcasts are your thing, and I know there's quite a few out there. Some of them are pretty decent, and I'm including that one in that list. Give it a listen, and you'll be helping out a fellow 3 Legs 4 Wheels listener. That was the hardest one of those I've ever had to do, and that comes straight from Pornhub as well. Is it time to go now?
Probably
Yes.
for the best.
I think that's a good idea. We will be back next week. If there's any news, we'll throw that in. We'll do a live reaction along to the McLaren launch when we all say, "Gosh, it's papaya," and we'll do the shunt special as well. Don't forget to sign up for Patreon if you want more guff like this, but non-Formula One based. Patreon.com/3legs4wheels. Sign up from as little as $1 a month. I think I've done all the admin now, haven't I?
Oh,
Get
fuck, there's a cat. There's a cat on the laptop. Oh, fuck. On the recording laptop, Dizzy, are you shitting
Oh,
me?
that's amazing. That's fucking amazing.
She's a prick.
Right, it's still recording. It's still working. Oh, thank God!
Could you
it's
imagine
still...
if she'd have stood on the power button as is one of her favourite?
Yeah, just wipe the whole show. Right, I'm gonna go have a weak milky tea after that shock. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.